Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your brain isn't just operating at a fraction of its capacity, it's firing on all cylinders, 100% active, every neuron buzzing with potential. Sounds incredible, right? The idea of using 100% of our brain capacity has fascinated people for decades. Movies, pop culture, and even some self-help books have hinted at the notion that if we could somehow unlock the rest of our brain, we could perform superhuman feats, remember every detail of our lives, solve complex equations instantly, maybe even manipulate reality itself. But what would really happen if we did? Would we become geniuses overnight, or would our minds simply short-circuit? First, let's tackle a common misconception: the idea that humans only use 10% of their brains. The truth is, every part of the brain has a function, and modern neuroscience shows that even simple activities activate multiple regions. You're using far more than 10% already, but the myth persists because it's fun to imagine untapped potential. So when we say 100% usage, we're talking about maximizing the intensity and coordination of every neuron at the same time, which is something your brain never normally does. If this were possible, the first thing we'd notice is a surge in cognitive ability. Imagine learning a new language in minutes instead of months, instantly mastering every skill you've ever tried, or recalling every memory with perfect clarity. Your working memory, long-term memory, spatial reasoning, and abstract thinking would all be amplified exponentially. The boundaries between what you know and what you can do would blur. You could visualize complex structures, perform calculations in your head faster than any computer, and even anticipate the outcomes of complicated events before they happen. Everyday problems like figuring out taxes or solving a Sudoku puzzle would feel laughably simple. But with great power comes some pretty intense consequences. The human brain consumes about 20% of the body's energy even at rest. Cranking it up to 100% usage would be like running a high-performance sports car at full throttle all the time. Your metabolism would skyrocket, requiring enormous amounts of fuel, glucose, oxygen, and maybe even more than your body can supply. You might feel physically drained, constantly hungry, or even risk overheating your body. The idea of using all your brain isn't just about mental capacity, it's a systemic challenge. Your entire body would need to evolve to support the energy demands of a supercharged mind. Emotionally and psychologically, things could get complicated fast. The brain filters information constantly, ignoring irrelevant details so you aren't overwhelmed. At 100% capacity, nothing would be filtered out. You'd see, hear, and process everything at once. Every conversation, every background noise, every subtle change in light or temperature. Sensory overload could be extreme, possibly even painful. Imagine walking down a busy street while perceiving every single movement, sound, and thought around you. Concentration might become impossible because your mind would be juggling trillions of data points simultaneously. In other words, your brain's natural cooling system that protects sanity could disappear, and we might not be emotionally equipped to handle the unfiltered reality. Then there's creativity. At first glance, a fully active brain sounds like a creativity machine, but creativity is actually dependent on constraints. Too much information and too many connections could lead to mental chaos instead of genius. Some theories suggest that the brain's limitations are what force us to prioritize ideas, make analogies, and innovate. At 100% capacity, you might generate infinite ideas at lightning speed, but distinguishing the good from the useless could become an overwhelming challenge. Your mind might feel like a tornado of thoughts spinning out of control, brilliant yet completely indecipherable. And let's not forget the social implications. If every person could suddenly access 100% of their brain capacity, intelligence levels could soar, but empathy, patience, and human interaction might not scale in the same way. Would we still value conversation and relationships, or would everyone become so cognitively advanced that normal communication feels trivial? Could society even function if everyone instantly understood complex systems that previously required years of study? Economic, political, and cultural structures might be disrupted. Institutions built on scarcity of knowledge, like schools, universities, or even governments, could become obsolete overnight. Now, what about physical abilities? The brain controls every movement, coordination, and reflex. With full capacity, theoretically, we could optimize our bodies in ways we never imagined. Athletes could perfect their motor skills, dancers could execute flawless routines with perfect timing, surgeons could perform complex procedures with unparalleled precision. You might even discover new ways to train the nervous system to push human endurance beyond today's limits. But again, the body has limits, and there's only so much it can handle before it burns out. A 100% brain might quickly realize its own physical constraints, and frustration could be a constant companion. Finally, consider the existential side of things. If your mind could calculate and predict outcomes at unimaginable speeds, you might start to see patterns and possibilities that ordinary humans can't. Decisions that used to be difficult would become trivial, the unknown would shrink, and the thrill of discovery might fade. Could too much brainpower make life less exciting? The tension between potential and limitation, between knowing everything and still being human, might become the ultimate paradox. So, in the first few moments of supercharged cognition, you'd feel unstoppable, omniscient, omnipotent, a true master of reality. But the longer you maintained 100% brain activity, the more energy, sensory, emotional, and social challenges would stack up. What begins as a thrilling adventure into human potential could quickly become a chaotic struggle to survive in a world that wasn't designed for minds operating at that intensity. Once we move beyond personal and societal effects, the implications of a 100% brain capacity scale up to global and even planetary levels. Imagine every scientist, engineer, and thinker suddenly operating at full cognitive potential. Breakthroughs in medicine, energy, and technology would accelerate exponentially. Diseases that once took decades to understand and cure could be eradicated almost overnight. We could invent entirely new forms of energy, solve climate change with precise predictions and simulations, and even engineer ecosystems to prevent natural disasters. Our species might reach levels of understanding and problem-solving that today seem like science fiction. But with that power comes complexity. The coordination required to harness the collective genius of humanity would be staggering. Political, economic, and social systems were not designed for a population of hyper-intelligent individuals. Conflicts might shift from scarcity of resources to clashes of ideas. Every argument, every negotiation, every decision could become infinitely more complicated because everyone would foresee the consequences with crystal clarity. The world might descend into a paradox where the smartest people disagree not out of ignorance, but because they can calculate multiple optimal outcomes simultaneously, each with subtle trade-offs. On an individual level, the brain's hyperactivity could unlock abilities we currently classify as paranormal or impossible. Telepathy, if it relies on understanding and predicting neural patterns, could become feasible. Learning any skill or language in minutes would feel trivial. Enhanced memory could allow you to replay any moment of your life with perfect clarity, but this might lead to psychological strain. Imagine being unable to forget anything, haunted by every mistake, every awkward encounter, every painful memory. Forgetting is a necessary function of mental health, and without it, even the strongest minds could fracture under the weight of unfiltered experience. Creativity and innovation would hit levels never seen before, but they might also spiral into chaos. When every neuron contributes to every thought, the brain may generate ideas at a speed too fast to process consciously. The line between genius and madness could blur, as your mind floods with endless possibilities, some brilliant, some terrifying. Artists might create works beyond human comprehension, scientists might devise theories that are mathematically flawless but impossible to apply, and inventors could produce devices that bend reality, or fail catastrophically if not properly tested. There's also the question of evolution. Our bodies and brains have evolved under constraints for millions of years. If humans suddenly harness 100% brain capacity, the mismatch between mind and body could be extreme. Physical deterioration, mental fatigue, or systemic collapse could follow. Perhaps our species would need to evolve or engineer new bodies capable of sustaining hyper-intelligent minds, stronger hearts, more efficient metabolisms, enhanced sensory organs. This raises the ultimate question. Are we prepared for our potential, or would full brain usage push us past the limits of survival? On a more philosophical level, perception and reality might change. With full cognitive power, patterns in the universe that were once hidden become obvious. You could predict the stock market with incredible accuracy, understand human behavior in unprecedented detail, or simulate entire civilizations in your mind. But omniscience comes with a cost: boredom, detachment, or even existential despair. When everything can be predicted or understood instantly, the thrill of discovery, the uncertainty that drives curiosity and wonder, could vanish. Life might become a perfectly calculated, mechanistic process, devoid of surprise. Let's not forget the social ramifications on an emotional scale. Empathy, intuition, and social bonding are vital parts of human life. A hyper-intelligent mind might struggle to connect with ordinary cognition. You could perceive motives, probabilities, and outcomes faster than anyone around you, but forming emotional connections might become a challenge. Intimacy, humor, friendship, and love are deeply tied to human limitations, When those limits vanish, the experience of connection could fundamentally change, making society feel alien even to those inhabiting it. And then there's the ethical dimension. If some people could achieve 100% brain capacity while others remain at normal levels, inequality would skyrocket in ways previously unimaginable. The gap between average and hyper-intelligent humans could create a new class system, driven not by wealth or resources, but by raw cognitive ability. Decisions about who leads, who governs, who makes ethical choices could become contentious beyond anything we currently face. The balance of power could shift dramatically in a single generation. Yet, amid all these possibilities, there's a curious silver lining. Humans may find new ways to cooperate and innovate together, leveraging full brain potential to solve problems that currently seem insurmountable. We could create a civilization that maximizes both intelligence and compassion, exploring the cosmos with precision, reshaping societies for sustainability, and unlocking mysteries of the universe that have puzzled us for millennia. The dream of full brain capacity could drive not only personal transformation but collective evolution, if we can survive the initial chaos and adapt to the mental, physical, and social challenges. So, using 100% of our brain capacity is a double-edged sword. The first moments bring unimaginable power, clarity, and potential. But as time goes on, energy demands, sensory overload, emotional strain, societal disruption, and philosophical dilemmas mount. Full brain usage could turn humans into superintelligent beings capable of feats beyond comprehension, or it could overwhelm our bodies, minds, and societies, forcing evolution or adaptation at an unprecedented rate. It's a tantalizing scenario, and while current neuroscience shows it's impossible in reality, imagining it helps us explore the boundaries of cognition, potential, and what it truly means to be human. In the end, maybe our brains are perfect just the way they are, limited, fallible, and wonderfully human. The constraints force creativity, guide emotion, and maintain balance in our lives. But it's fascinating to consider, if we could somehow push beyond those limits, what would we become? Superhumans, or simply humans overwhelmed by the very power we sought to unleash? The answer may forever remain in the realm of imagination, but asking what if is what drives science, innovation, and wonder, keeping our minds alive with curiosity for generations to come.